If I can help it, if you can see my left leg here, I'd like to stay hooked onto his leg. The reason being, if I can keep this, I can at least keep him relatively parallel with me. The farther perpendicular he gets, the harder this gets. When he's here, it's very, very difficult to make this move work. However, go back. If we're not quite straight on, but he's maybe got a 15, 20 degree angle, this dunk is actually relatively easy. Cup in the head, raising at the hip. I'm off on my left shoulder here. Again, I gotta get a good hard trim, and it's not so much me moving him, it's me moving me, and just his head stays in the same spot. And I move to the opposite side of it. Sit forward. It's really important I capture the shoulder, at which point I can really rip this leg back as I come up to my face. Boom! I want to make sure I drop this arm of his. I don't want his arm to stay controlling my leg. If we're here, and I come up, and he's still got my leg, I'm probably going to get hit with another single leg. So while I'm here, he might be over that leg, but as I come up to my base, I'm driving down with my right elbow to beat that arm of his. I beat his arm. Now, I pull him, I spin behind, just like most of us have seen. I come right back, I work my transition. So a little detail is there, the more straight on you can keep him for the longer, the better. The more perpendicular it gets, of course, the closer the side control he's getting, and that's no good for us. Now, we'll talk about what happens when our opponent here knows what's going on and they counter the back take by pulling guard. So a lot of the time when you're on top, we'll start here already. When I'm on top, in this kind of a guillotine-ish scenario, especially with the gi, he's usually a little less threatened by the guillotine, and he's more threatened by the fact that I'm going to spin behind him and go for chokes from there. So as I make this spin, often his defense, when I'm here, is pulling guard, and if he's good at it, he gets half guard, close guard, and now I'm here. So I went to go get my cool guy spin, and boom, he's already on one hip, and now my legs are tied up, and I didn't really get a dominant position. I went from bottom to top, that was fun, but I'd much rather end up in a great spot. So, as I make this transition, I'm beginning to spin behind Kalakini, I'm driving this knee in, as we had talked about. He's beginning to pull guard. As he pulls guard, once he's here in position, go ahead. Yep, as he's pulling guard, he's going to end up like so with me, where this bottom knee is slicing in towards me, and his hip is starting to tilt in, this leg is generally extended. There's two ways I can go about passing. I can pass the front side, stuff his leg, and go more wrestler pass on him and beat him in his own game. My preference here, if I can help it, is to pass the backside. Why, generally? Yeah, it's away from all this funky little clingy limb thing. So he's going to be kicking and punching and doing all kinds of whatever he does in this direction. Back there is not that much action. So when he pulls guard, I'm going to sink my head actually towards the inside. I'm wrapped over this outside leg of his. I hop to the back. At which point I shift underneath the shoulder. Generally, he's going to turn back to face me. I'm going to consolidate. So one more time as I make that spin. We're going to work this slow. Again, in all realism, it's pretty tough to expect I'm going to get a full-blown nice back take every time I make this spin, but at least I make advantage of the position regardless. I'm here. As he pulls, I'm over the top of his leg, and I walk to the backside. Doesn't have to be a jump, doesn't have to be a cartwheel. I just need to make sure I keep this thing controlled. My head's on the inside, walk. As soon as I'm in, I control the knee, climb up, then easy tight. Settle, drive nice and flat. You want to steal one? Sure. Okay, Ian?